Does destiny control us, or do we have the power to change our future? In the snowy highlands of ancient Tibet, a question echoed through the hearts of many. People believed their lives were governed by unseen forces and their struggles were inevitable. But this belief left them with little hope for change. One such man was Tenzing, a shepherd who lived in a tiny village nestled amidst the majestic Himalayan peaks. Life had been a relentless struggle for him. His family was poor, his wife Dolma was chronically ill, and his 2 young daughters lacked proper food and clothing. Despite working tirelessly to herd yaks and gather wool to sell, Tenzing could barely make ends meet. The villagers often said, "Tenzing's fate is written in the stars. No matter how hard he tries, he will always remain poor." These words gnawed at Tenzing's soul. He began questioning whether there was any point in trying so hard if everything was already predetermined. At night, when the cold winds howled outside his humble home, Tenzing would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, haunted by a single question: is my destiny fixed, or can I change it? One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Tenzing sat by the fire with Dolma. He looked at her pale face and thought of their children sleeping in the other room, shivering under thin blankets. Overwhelmed by despair, he finally spoke. "Dolma, I can't live like this anymore. If my fate is truly unchangeable, what's the point of struggling?" Dolma, though weak, held his hand and said, "Tenzing, there is someone who can answer your question, the great Gautam Buddha. I've heard that his teachings have transformed the lives of many. Seek him, and perhaps you will find the answers you need." Tenzing hesitated. The journey to find Buddha would be long and perilous, especially in the harsh Tibetan winter. But something in Dolma's voice gave him courage. The next morning, he entrusted his family to a kind neighbor, packed some food and warm clothes, and began his trek. The path was treacherous. Tenzing had to cross frozen rivers, icy cliffs, and walk through dense forests where wolves howled in the distance. The cold pierced through his layers of wool, and exhaustion gnawed at his body. One night, he camped under a sky glittering with countless stars. As he gazed upward, he thought, "Are these stars really controlling my life?" The thought both frightened and angered him. Determined to find the truth, he pressed on. After weeks of travel, Tenzing reached a small monastery perched on a mountaintop. Inside, monks chanted in harmony, and the air was filled with the scent of incense. Tenzing felt a strange calm wash over him. He approached a young monk and asked, "Is the great Gautam Buddha here?" The monk nodded and led him to a serene garden where Buddha sat beneath a towering Bodhi tree, his presence radiating peace. Tenzing bowed deeply and said, "Great teacher, I am Tenzing, a shepherd from a distant village. My life is filled with suffering. People say my fate is unchangeable. Please tell me, is my destiny truly fixed, or can I change it through my actions?" Buddha smiled gently and said, "Tenzing, let me share a story with you. There was once a man who planted a tiny sapling in his garden. The soil was dry and the weather harsh, but the sapling had the potential to grow into a mighty tree. The man had 2 choices. He could nurture the sapling with water, sunlight, and care, or he could neglect it and let it wither. Your destiny, Tenzing, is like that sapling. Your past actions may have planted it in barren soil, but your present efforts determine whether it thrives or dies. Fate is not a rigid chain. It can be shaped by your actions." Tenzing listened intently but asked, "If my present hardships are the result of my past actions, can I completely erase their effects?" Buddha replied, "Imagine a river flowing downhill. It is the force of your past actions. But you are the boatman with oars. If you paddle with determination, you can change your direction even against the current. It will require effort, but it is possible." "But what if I don't see results immediately?" Tenzing asked. Buddha chuckled softly and said, "Patience, Tenzing. Let me tell you another story. There was a farmer who lived in a valley. One year he sowed barley seeds, but the weather was unkind and his crop failed. He was heartbroken but did not give up. The next year, he sowed seeds again, and this time the rains came and his harvest was bountiful. His perseverance turned failure into success. Life tests your patience, Tenzing. Immediate results are rare, but consistency always leads to change. Still curious, Tenzing asked, "But what about my past mistakes? Should I carry their burden forever?" Buddha replied, "The past is like a heavy sack of stones. If you cling to it, it will weigh you down. But if you learn from it and let it go, you will walk freely." To emphasize his point, Gautam Buddha shared another story. There was once a poor scholar who lamented his misfortunes, blaming his past mistakes. A wise king told him, "Your past cannot be changed, but your future is a blank slate. Write it with wisdom and effort." The scholar took the advice, worked diligently, and transformed his life. His past no longer defined him, his actions did. Tenzing felt a spark of hope ignite within him. He bowed deeply and said, "Buddha, I now understand. My destiny is not fixed. It is shaped by my actions. I will return home and work with renewed determination." Buddha blessed him and said, "Remember, Tenzing, the path of right action is challenging, but it leads to peace and fulfillment. Never doubt the power of your efforts." With a heart full of gratitude, Tenzing began his journey back to his village. He resumed his work as a shepherd, but approached it with patience and hope. Slowly, his fortunes began to change. His yaks grew healthier, his wool sold at higher prices, and his family's condition improved. The villagers were astonished. "Tenzing has changed his fate," they exclaimed. But Tenzing knew the truth. He had not changed his fate. He had shaped it through his actions. Through his journey and Buddha's wisdom, Tenzing learned a timeless lesson. Destiny is not written in stone. It is carved by our hands. And so, he lived as a beacon of hope, inspiring others to believe in the power of effort and perseverance. If you watched this video till the end, don't forget to share it with your loved ones. Thank you.